Hello everyone. Today we're going to teach you how to do a request system of some sort. I was once in the military, and the one thing I wanted to improve is the GPC ordering system. So I kind of made this app. We're going to make this app geared towards that, but this can be used for any kind of request system, like anything to order stuff, anything to create work orders on, stuff like that. But I'm gearing mine towards this just so you can learn the concepts of building a request system. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, I'm on my SharePoint site. First thing we're going to do is we're going to have to create a couple of applications within SharePoint to store our data. We're going to create one library, we're going to create one list. Okay, now I'm not going to recreate the list because I already have it made, but I want to show you some basic stuff that you need to set up. Now, what you set for columns and views and all that other stuff, that's up to you. Alright, so the site I built this on isn't this one. So let's go ahead and go to the site I was going to go to. So we're going to open up SharePoint. And then I built it on my G4 site. So if we go to Site Contents, you'll see that I created a supply request library right here, and a request supply request list. Okay, this has a little part in the whole process. Most of it's going to be done through here. Okay, now let's open up the library. This has a lot of columns in it for the different things I'm going to do, but you can't see them here. So let's go back to the back side. Okay, we're going to go to library settings. Now, first thing you're going to do when you set up your library is, you can set up all your column stuff like that's up to how you want to do it, but there's certain things you can do to make this work right. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to set up content types. Okay, so you're going to go to Advanced Settings. You're going to turn on this right here. Okay, Allow management of content types, because you need to turn on document sets. Okay. So you're going to click yes here, and then this is up to you. Typically I don't turn this on because I don't want them making 100 billion folders in my thing. Alright, and something I recommend is turning on New Experience. Okay, New Experience makes it better, easier to read, because when you turn Classic Experience on, it looks different. It's not used to it anymore. And once you're done with that, you hit OK. When you come up, you're not going to see this document set thing here. You're going to just see document. Okay? Document needs to stay there because you are going to upload files, and files use the document content type to upload. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to add from existing content types. Okay? I'm going to go to a different library here because it ain't going to show what I need to show you. So we're going to just come in here and we're going to make a new library. Video document library. Okay. When we go into our settings, we're going to turn on content types like I just showed you, and I'm going to turn on New Experience. So you got your document content type here, but we're missing our other one, right? So we're going to add to existing site content types. If you're in all groups, you'll see this one called document set. Now, if you do not see document set in here, or document set content types in the drop down here, you don't have the feature turned on. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to the gear, go to Site Settings, and under Site Settings, now if you don't see Site Collection Administration, you're going to have to get somebody, whoever is an SCA on there, you need the Site Collection Admin, they're going to have to add you to as a Site Collection Admin, or you're going to have them do this for you. You're going to have to go in here under the Site Collection Administration, you're going to go to Site Collection Features. And under there, you're going to look for document sets right here. If this says activate, you need to click the button, or they need to click the button to make it active. So the active light comes on here. This is what turns that on. Alright, so let's go back to our content types. So you're going to go you're going to highlight document set and you're going to hit add. And then you're going to click OK. When you come back here, you'll have both of them here. Then you're going to go change new button order. You don't want the content type visible. So you're going to turn that off and click OK. So when you come back out to your document library, when you click new, all you should see is document set. You don't want the document content type showing up. Now the rest of this stuff you can't turn off. It comes with every site. So now let's go back to our, now we got that in there, we're going to go back to our library. It's all set up the way it should be. Go to versioning settings, make sure your required checkout is turned off to no. That's important because you can't make any changes without stuff checked out. And that's pretty much it, all you do for here. Now as far as adding in here, you'll notice when I made my columns, they're either yes, no, they're either single line of text or they're date and time. There's a few multiple lines of text in here for the descriptions, but most of the time I don't do that. If your descriptions are going to be more than 255 characters, then yeah, turn that on. Put it to multiple lines of text. It's still a text field, it's just a thing. I like to use text fields on the back side because it will accept any input. Okay? If you start putting choice columns in here and all this other stuff, you'll start causing problems with your Power App later. Okay? And as you can see, now there is some people groups on here, but that's what came with the library, so I can't change that. Now as far as your list goes, your list is very simple. Okay? It's a simple list. Let's go to list settings. It's easier to look at it from there. I got probably like 10 fields in here. Okay? It deals with the individual items that you're ordering. Okay? It creates a catalog. And if you look on the front here, you'll see if I group by request ID, which is just the ID from my document library that I copied over. So you'll see that I don't have a lot here. It's just each ID has its own thing, and it just groups them by the ID. You know, I just looks like, oh, I got a couple things in here. See, it just groups them together for you. So there's my back end side. All right, so now we're going to go to Power Apps and we're going to start creating our app. Okay. Now as we go along, we're going to create a couple automate flows. Okay. Power Apps can't do absolutely everything, so I kind of augment it with Power Automate. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a blank app, and then we're going to create a blank canvas app. Okay. We're going to hit create. And then we're going to call, like all my things, I start with video, so I know it's part of a video series. And then I'm going to call this supply request. Okay? And you want to do it in the tablet format. You can do it in the forum format. You can change it later if you want to, but I start in tablet. That way you got more real estate, because most people use computers and tablets than they do phones or smaller mobile devices. But all this is responsive, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so there's our app. So I'm going to start out renaming my screen to main. Okay, and then I'm going to start adding some stuff to it. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a text label at the top. It's kind of how I make my banners, right? So we're going to call this my supply request dashboard. Now as the processes are completed, I'm going to filter out the completeds. So that way it only shows stuff that's active or new. So we're going to make this a little bigger so you can read it. We're going to make it bold so it stands out. And then we're going to align to center. And then I'm going to make the background color blue and the font white, so you can see it real well. Now I'm going to add a couple icons to the banner up here that we're going to use later. Well, actually I'm just going to add one. we're going to use later on. So we're going to go ahead and add a add button. This add button is going to be used later on when I create a new item. Okay, and we're going to change, not that, we're going to change the background to white so it stands out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple data sources. I'm going to add my list and my library in. Okay, so we're going to go add data, go to connectors, go to SharePoint, we're going to go to our G4 site, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to grab this. We're going to hit connect, and brings in both our data sources. Okay, now we're going to set up our dashboard. Okay, so we're going to start out putting the column headers in. So I'm going to put in these. First one is going to be our unit, or department, I'm sorry. Okay, and then I'm going to, so it contrasts with the top, I'm going to make the background black. Actually, I'll make that white, and I'll make my background black. And then I will align center, and then I want to bold it so it stands out. Okay, so I'm going to make a bunch of these. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you'll see why I need 7 here in a minute. Alright, so I'm going to take this one to the end, line it up with this one. And then I'm going to make it over here like this. This is going to be my action column. We're going to have 3 actions we're going to put at the end of this. You know, one's to go to the approval step, which we're going to do in the very last video. Now keep in mind, I'm going to keep these videos around an hour, and there's going to be 4 or 5 of them. This takes a little time to set up. It's not horrible, but you know, you gotta, I don't want to overwhelm you guys. This next one is going to be right here, and it's going to be my delete function. So if like you want to remove that item completely because it's a duplicate or whatever. And then I'm going to make this a little smaller so it'll fit in the space. Okay. Go to the next one. Next one's going to be our edit. So I'm going to drag over like that. And then the next one's going to be our approval. Okay. Okay, that's our actions. Well, don't worry, I'm going to make them all the same height when I'm done here. Next one's going to be our status. And we'll move them a little bit. And then we're going to make our, next is going to be our date submitted. And then, I guess nope, I did it right. Okay, so this one's going to be our name of the request. Now you're going to think it's a little long for a name, but the name I'm going to do is going to have 3 or 4 fields in it, all combined together to make it easier. So, I'll do it right there. This will be there. This will be there. Action will be there. Alright, so these 4 here, I'm going to double their size. So they are currently 40, I'm going to make them 80 for the height. now they're all the same height. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and increase the font size of these so that way they're not as small. Make it a little easier to read. Okay. Make this part a little bigger so it doesn't have to be in 2 lines. Alright, so that's that. So now I want to move all of these. Slide it up this to that. Now we're going to put it in our gallery. A gallery is just a way of displaying information. Okay, we're going to take all the data from our supply request and only grab the top level folders. Okay, the way it's going to work is we're going to create what's called a document set. The document set is going to be the top level folder that it shows, and then inside that folder we will place our supporting documentation that we'll do later on in later videos. So this gallery is literally just going to show that top level folder and their names. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert go to layout, and we're going to insert a blank vertical gallery. We're going to do vertical height because there may be different heights, so let's do that. Okay, it always puts it all wonky in there. We're going to use it to fill the remaining space of the paper. Okay, realize how bad that looks. So let's go ahead and fill up the space. There we go. Now, first thing we're going to put in there is an image file, okay, or an image control, because the image, we're going to display whatever department it is, it's going to display what image it is. So let's go ahead and go to insert. We're going to go down to media, and we're going to do image. Now I'm going to make this a little bigger, and we're going to center it. And then on here, I'm going to steal my code from my other thing here. Why is it not showing anything? No formula. Where is my formula at? It's on the phone bar, but show it down here. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Oops. Too far. We're going to put a switch command in here to determine what goes in there. Okay, so I'm going to open this up so you guys can look at it. Alright, it's angry right now because I haven't uploaded the files yet. All the words that are in black are image files, and the things in the red between the quotes are the responses it's looking for. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to upload our images. Okay, so we're going to upload. I'm going to upload all these images, and they're going to be service this command. So give it a second. It only takes a few minutes. Not even a few minutes. It takes like 30 seconds. Now, if you go in here, all the ugliness has gone away. All right. So when they select in this one field that we're going to set up later, any one of these, it's going to say whatever you put in there, it's going to grab that file and put it in its place. Yeah, we're getting to that. Oh, I know why it's doing that, because we haven't put a data source in yet. Alright, our data source is going to be filtered, so we're going to put in a command. Filter. I hope I spell it right. Filter. Supply request. Where is folder equals true. Now we're going to probably add more parameters later on, but right now we're not gonna do that. It's fine the way it is. Alright, so you'll notice that the red X went away. Alright, our next field we're going to put in here, we got this in here, now we're going to put in a label for the name of the request. Okay, as you can see, it looks like it's already there. And I'm going to turn auto height on this thing on, so that way it auto sizes it. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is date submitted, because the title field is what we need in here. Okay. As you notice, I combined data. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go date submitted. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to use we're not using ID. We're going to use created. Now, if you want to make it look prettier, you could do this. We can do a text command and say I want it to look like month, day, year. Now this is just for display purposes. It doesn't change anything, it just makes it look better. Okay, and then we're going to align it center so that way it's not right up on top of this stuff. Alright, so the next one, we're going to insert another label. And this is going to be our status. Okay. Now this is a dashboard. It's supposed to let us know what progression everything is making. Alright, and we'll just go ahead and line that center. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put in 3 icons at the end for these actions. Okay, so first thing we're going to put in there is our approval. So I use the check badge for that. So we'll do that here, put our approval in here. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of keep going back to the menu, I'm just going to copy and paste these a couple of times. And then I'll just go into the properties and change it to the right one. Okay. We'll make them all the same, right? This one is our edit, so we're going to go to the edit icon. And then this one is going to be our delete one, so I'm going to use the trash icon. Now, setting up these we will do throughout the video series, because I'm not doing it all at once. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our delete, because it's the simplest one. It's just a simple command. Okay, we're going to type remove supply request this item. So basically it's going in there and it goes into the data source and looks for the whole record and deletes it. That's all that does. Okay, now the plus symbol is going to go to somewhere else, which we haven't created yet. The approval is going to go to several different places, and then this one's going to go to another form. So we're going to end up creating like 3 different screen types through this whole process. Okay. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our new screen. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're only going to have one quote-unquote screen. Okay, but we're going to have a lot of containers. What's called a container. It looks just like a screen, but it overlays on top of the screen, so that way it's responsive. All right. So we're going to go back to our tree view. Here, and we're going to select our screen. I'll close this up, we don't need it anymore. and we're going to go up to the insert and we're going to open up layout again, and at the bottom you got container. Okay, now we're going to make this thing the whole entire screen, so we're going to open this up, and then I'm going to give it a light color, so we'll just make it light blue. Alright, we're going to go insert, text label, and then we're going to open it up, and then we're going to call this create new request. Okay, and then we're going to make it bigger, and we'll make it bold, we're going to center it, we'll make it blue, and white. Okay, so what it's going to do is we're going to create, this is the first thing you got to do before you make your thing. You got to actually create it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add some fields in here. Now you can use the form control to do this, but I prefer to use a custom form for this because it makes it easier and it makes it look prettier. You know, it's more presentable to the and easier on the eyes. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a text label. First thing we're going to put in here is our name, the name of the person submitting it. Okay, so name of requester. Shorten it up a little bit, and then we're going to insert what's called a combo box. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to select the person from the Active Directory. Touchy as hell. Okay, I made it kind of long because some names are long. Alright, next thing we're going to do, since we're going to be accessing Active Directory, we need to grab the connector that does that, and that's called Office 365 users. So we're going to go back over our data sources, add data, go down to connectors, and we're going to select our Office 365 users. Click that, click your connection. If you haven't created a connection, you just hit new connection and then we'll do it for you. And it's there. Now, in the items, you're going to set it to this. Office 365 users dot search user with search term being, now since we're referencing the same control we're in, you can use the pro word self dot selected dot mail, because your email address is your unique identifier. Okay, oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is search text, I'm sorry. We're going to use that later on. I just forgot about it. Alright. Oops. Going to close the brackets and then we close the thing. Now, what's going to happen if, let me set these few things I always forget about. Since we're over here, I might as well do it. All I did is I turned on searching, I turned off multiple select, and I am making sure the fields are pulled back or display name, and that's a person field. Alright, so what happens is when you click in here, it brings up all the names in Active Directory. Now my Active Directory is small, it's only got like 30 people in it, but like on the DoD side, there's like 185,000. Okay, you don't want all to try to select those names, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit to it. We're going to make it so it doesn't enact this command unless you start typing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the beginning. We're going to type if self dot, forgot one thing, exclamation is blank, self dot search text. I knew I was going to do that. Close it, comma, Office 365 users, search user. Okay. So what this does is blank means is it blank. But anytime you put an exclamation point in front of anything in Power Apps, that means not. So basically you read it as if not blank self.search text, which is this thing here, then do the search. Okay, and then of course we got to put our ending parentheses in there. So now if you do it, what it's going to do is it's not going to search. It'll let you click inside, but that it doesn't do anything, it just sits there. So if I type my name in here, oh whoops, keep forgetting this is my tenant. Alright, it'll only show the search results for what you type in. So now you ain't got all those extra things in there. Okay? So let's get rid of this, get rid of this, close. Alright, now next thing we're going to put in here is our department. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, bring it down, did it anyways, and then I'm going to change my label to department. Okay, now we're going to enter another combo box. Oops, wrong drop down. We're going to grab another combo box, put it right here, and we are going to populate it with the department names. Remember those names I showed you in that switch command earlier? Yeah, that's what this is for. So what you're going to do is you're going to click in here, we'll go to items, open it up, and paste this in here. Now what I did is I put a blank entry in the beginning, so when you open up the form it just has a blank field there. And then these are all the different names that were in that switch command, and that's what you're going to select from. Okay. Now in here, by default, combo boxes always allow multiple selections. I'm going to turn that off. Okay, and I'm going to turn off allow searching because everything that you need is in the items. And this, we can tweak it a little bit more. We're going to the input placeholder here. Input. Enter your name. Okay, so it says enter your name there, and there's nothing in the department here. And then the last thing we're going to stick in here, actually be over here, is our submission date. So we're going to go in here. I'll put date of submission, date of request. And then here I'm going to insert a date picker because we're dealing with dates. Don't get that long, and then we'll put it right here. Okay, it defaults to today's date, which is fine most of the time. And if you want to switch it, we can always switch it. Okay. Now I'm going to add some text fields below that the Office 365 users is going to pull back based on the person's name. Okay, we're going to add 5 fields. 4 of them will get pulled from the Office 365 users. The last one will be pulled through a Power Automate flow. Okay, so this looks really wonky. So let's line it up. There we go, that looks better. Alright, so I'm going to copy this label. Bring it down here, call it first name, and then I'm going to put them all stacked underneath here. I'll make them all the same, right? Okay, the second one is going to be last name. This one is going to be email. This one's going to be phone. Okay, I thought I clicked it. And then this one's going to be our DoD ID number. Wow, we'll put employee number. Employee ID. Because in Azure Active Directory, that's what it's called. Okay. Now, since we're going to display information, but at the same time, I need to make sure it's editable in case it's wrong. So we're going to use what's called a text input field. Okay. So we're going to click our text input and bring it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that field and we're going to make it 5 times. Trying to make it evened up with the thing here. Alright, so there's our text input fields. Now, I'm going to set all the defaults to not that. I'm going to select it, delete it. Okay, so they're empty. Now, we're going to put something in there later on, not right this second. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we want it, when someone puts their name in here, I want it to pre-populate these first four fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to the combo box for the name, and I'm going to select the on change. That just means if anything changes, it runs these commands. Okay, we don't need that much. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, put if self dot search text. I did it again. Forgot to put the is blank in front. Comma. Set their first name. I'm gonna type the whole command out and then I'll explain to you what it does. Comma. Office 365 users user profile self dot selected dot mail dot given name. Alright, so I'm going to make this 4 times just so I don't have to oops, no commas. Alright, so we're going to change this to last name. Most of it stays the same. I'm just changing the stuff that needs to be changed, and then I'll go through this command here for you guys. Why is it angry? That'll make any sense. Huh. Well, I'll deal with that later. Emilio. Now I know we got .mail inside the thing, but we are actually looking for that actual data, so we're gonna give it like that. this one is, nope. I keep going for the office for some reason. This is phones. Value. Don't worry, I'm gonna fix this in a second. Okay. Doesn't like their last name for some reason. I don't think I'm using it more in one place, am I? Nope. For some reason it doesn't like that last name, that far last name thing. Oh, that's what it was. There's no capital N there, but there's a capital N there. That's weird. Okay, so we're going to go through this little by little here. Okay, it's basically saying if this is not blank, you can run these commands if they change. So I'm setting 4 variables. I always put VAR in the front of my variables if they're global variables, because that way it lets me know that they're a variable. Okay. Then it's going Office 365 users, user profile. It's another function of Office 365 is to look up somebody based off their unique identifier. And that's why the unique identifier is put in here like this. Okay, your email address is their unique identifier. It only has one of each email address. And then the properties of that user profiles, given name is your first name, surname is your last name, mail is your email address, and business phones. Now the business phone, the reason we're using the first command in this one is because the business phone is a record field, which means it has more than one field in it. It has 5 fields in it, and I know for the fact that the first one is the main phone that is used in Active Directory. So I just tell it to grab the first one and then tell me the value of it, and then place it in that variable I never changed the name on. So this is going to be their phone. All right. And that concludes this part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and assign each one of these fields a variable that it's going to hold. So this one is going to be their first name. This one is going to be their last name. This one is their email. And this one will be their phone. Now, everything's been taken care of except for this last field here. For this last field, we got to do something first. Okay? We need to go into Azure Active Directory and pull out the DoD ID number, which is stored in the Employee ID field. Now, the way you do that, you'll notice that it's not a property of Office 365 users. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go and grab I already have the flow already made, so all I got to do is go in here and find it. Okay, so we'll go in here. Anytime I pull information, I put the word get in the front of it. Okay, get employee ID. Okay, it's going to add it to the Power App, and then we're going to call it. Now here in a minute I'll go over what this thing does inside the flow, but we're going to set this first. So we're going to go back into our on change and we're going to run it. Okay, so since we're pulling a variable back out of flow, which is the employee ID number, we need to set a variable in front of it. So we're going to go set their employee ID, and then I'm going to call the flow, get employee ID.run. As you look up top there, it's looking for the UPN. UPN is the email address. So we're going to go self.selected.mail, but Flow doesn't understand what email addresses are. but it does understand what a URL is. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that email address into URL. So we're going to go encode URL. Oops, URL. Why does it keep doing that? And then to keep it simple, we're going to put the lower command in there. The lower command tells it to make everything lowercase. Okay, and then we're going to close it all the way up because it's the only property we need. And then we're going to say, hey, I want you to grab the variable from the flow, which is an EMP-ID, and then we're going to close out the statement with the parentheses. So now, all I got to do now is call that var EMP-ID into that field. So we'll come down here, and we are going to go var EMP-ID. Now it's time to test it out. So we're going to go in here, I'm going to put my name in here. I keep forgetting I just got to put my first name in here. Go away. Okay, you'll notice there's a little bit of a delay when you're doing the last one. That's because it called that flow and it was waiting for the flow to get a response back. And once the flow got the response back, then it dropped that number in here. Now, if you're on a DoD network and you do this, it's going to give you 6 extra digits. All you have to do to fix that is on your field down here, you can use the left command. So if you go like this, just go left, and then use your variable as your source, comma, 10. The first 10 digits is your EDIPI number. And then close it. Okay. You'll notice that it'll cut off those last 6 digits because it's 16 digits altogether. And then, of course, the last thing we got to select is our department. So, select department, and we're done. Now we're ready to submit the data. Okay, the way we submit the data and create the folder is through another flow. So let's go ahead and we're going to add our flow that's going to create the document set. Actually, let's go over this first. I'm going to show you what is all involved in this flow. Alright, when you open it up, it's got to trigger up Power Apps. Now, it doesn't have any kind of configuration information, so you just basically add this up. Next thing is, we're going to add a Get User Profile V2 step. What this does is it pulls in the user information of their profile from AD. And you'll notice it's purple, which means it's pulling from Power Apps. Okay, because Power Apps is purple too, right? This is where your email address is getting inserted that you put inside those parentheses. Okay? And as an additional step, we are only selecting one field. We only want one field to get returned, and that's the employee ID. But you'll see the email and the employee ID get pulled back at the same time. Okay? Now it comes back anytime Flow does anything, it brings it back in as JSON. So we need to parse that JSON. It comes back as a blob. So we're going to open this up. We're grabbing the body of this and we're parsing it. Okay? We're breaking it up into it's either OData or it's employee ID. Should be a table with 2 columns, and employee ID is one of those columns. Okay? Then we're going to store that data from that employee ID into the EMP ID, which you saw at the end of our statement for our flow, right? That's where it comes from. Okay, and then now we're going to push it back to Power Apps by using the same name. Because remember, this exists in Flow, this exists in Power Apps. So you can call it the same name and it ain't going to get confused. We're just assigning this variable to this item, and then that item is getting pushed to Power Apps. And that's it. That's how the flow works. Alright, so let that finish. And then now we're going to go and we're going to create our document set. Okay, so create doc set, supply request. Okay, that's for that flow is made for this application, and the other one I have too, which I'm basically duplicating. Now, because I messed with the employee ID, you notice my employee ID disappeared. So what I got to do is I need to go back in here and research it again, so it brings it back. I'll just ignore that message. I did something that it didn't expect, so it got mad. Alright, so all our stuff's in here now, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add a submit button to initiate this whole process of creating this document set. Alright, so I'm going to move it. We'll move it over here. Well, I have to center it best I can. There we go. And we're going to say create initial request. That's what we're doing, right? Okay, so on this button for the on select, we are going to, now since we're just running it, it'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to run the flow. So we're going to say create supply request.run. Now the first thing it's looking for, it'll tell you up here too, doc set name. Now the doc set name is a combination of many things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable to store that, so I don't have to type it all in there. Okay, so we're going to go set var doc set name. First thing I'm going to put in here is our first name. So something I didn't do is I didn't name our fields. So let's go in here, let's name all our fields. So this one is going to be CB for combo box name. This one will be CB department. This one is a date picker, so we'll go DP submitted date. Remember, as you notice, I'm capitalizing each first letter of each word. That's called camel casing, if you didn't know. Now, since these are text inputs, I'm going to go TXT first name. This is how we're able to have same labels but different controls. TXT last name. This will be TXT email. This will be TXT phone. And this will be TXT employee ID. Okay, so they're all named. So we'll go back into our thing here. Now we're not using all the fields for our doc set name. We're only going to use 4, I think. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go TXT first name. And then we're going to go and double quote, dash. Now there's only certain things you can put in a title or in a file name or a folder name, okay? If you put certain things, it'll confuse it, okay? And let me bring up there is it's this one. If you look down in the documentation, Okay, as you see here, you know, you got some, there's certain characters you can't use. You can't use a quote, you can't use asterisk, you can't use colons, either slash, question mark, or type symbol. Okay? And honestly, at one time I used to set it up so that way if someone tried to do that, it wouldn't work. But using the method I do now, it doesn't matter. Okay, because I'm not using that stuff. Alright, so but dashes are fine, so I'm using a dash here. So next one would be text last name. Oh, I forgot the dot text in the first one. That's probably why it's acting weird. Why is it keep putting slash in there? I put period. Text. Dot text. And quotes. Hyphen. Now, if you use a single apparent symbol, that's concatenation. If you put two of them together, that means and. That's an and function, so you got to be careful when you're doing that. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our department. So we're going to go CB department dot selected dot value. And dash and the last thing is we're going to malform our date because what's date's got in them? Slashes, right? We can't use slashes. So we're going to do like a military style date. Okay, so we're going to do text and then we're going to grab our date picker dot selected date, which is the property behind it, comma year, month, day, and we're going to close it. And then we're going to close our variable out. Now we got that created. We're going to grab our doc set variable and we're going to put it as the first thing in our thing. That's our doc set name. Okay. Next thing, department. So we're going to CB department dot selected dot value, comma. Next thing, last name. Now don't get this confused. Okay. What we did in our doc set name, that was just to create for one field. Okay. I have fields for first name, last name, all individual, so that way if I want to use them later for other things, I can. Okay? Like if I want to make a username, I can do, hey, grab the first letter of the last name and the full first name. Where if I didn't have those separated, I couldn't do that. Okay, so we're going to grab our last name, so it's text, last name, dot text, comma, and then our first name, txt first name dot text, comma, email, so it's txt email. Now we could grab our variable, but it's not advisable. Dot text, since we've made variables for everything. Phone number, text, phone, dot text, and our EDIPI, text, EMP, ID, dot text. And last thing is our date submitted. So it's DB submitted date dot selected date. And we'll close it out. Yeah, there's something there. Alright, so that's our flow. Now you'll notice our stuff disappeared. Okay, well, let's redo it again like we did last time. Let's make sure it pulls in. You'll notice that the phone number is just numbers. Okay, we're going to go ahead and fix that too. Okay, I don't want it like that. I want it to look like a phone number. So I'm going to go in here, and we are going to do this monster command to make it look right. Alright. There's about 100 billion different variations of a phone number. Okay. Microsoft likes to put +1 in front of theirs if it's a US based phone. And then some people put, you know, parentheses in there, dashes, spaces, whatever, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it looks right no matter what they put in there. As long as there's 10 numbers, it'll work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab it from my other app, so I don't have to type it in. So just give me a second here and I'll grab it. That's weird. I don't see it. Okay, I'll just type it in. Alright, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to do text value, and then we're going to use a substitute command like 5 times. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to replace things. Alright, now their phone is our base data, right? So first thing we're going to replace is the left parentheses. So you put the old data and then you put this. So it's comma. And then the next thing we're going to replace is the regular red parentheses. Put it in the right spot. The next thing we're going to replace is the dash. And then the next thing we're going to replace, got to take my hand off the thing. Let's see, we got our left, our right, our dash, our spaces. And then what we're going to do is we're going to replace the +1 that Microsoft likes to stick in there. And then we're going to close out our value, and then we're going to put our format that we want to use. Okay, so we're going to go left parentheses, number, 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 left parentheses, space, number, 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 dash, number, 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 number. And that should close out our command. So it's basically saying I'm going to create it, because this value right here is a text, as you can see here, right? It shows this number. Now when you include value into it, it converts it into a number. And then the test command is going to take a number and turn it into this number. And then when it's done, it looks like that. So it looks like a regular number, as you can see here. Now we're ready to submit it. What it's going to do, it's going to create our docset name first, then it's going to run our flow with the parameters we gave it, and it's going to create a folder and then update the metadata of that folder and then I forgot one command. Okay. Now we need, once it runs a command, we want to clear all these fields out and then go back to the main screen, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a command called reset. And I'm going to do that like 7 times. My computer's being stupid again. Alright. Alright, so the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my CB name. Now this only needs control names, so it's a lot easier. And then our department. And then I'm going to reset my text field first. I'm going to reset my last name. Then I'm going to reset my email. Get ahead of myself there again. And then my phone. And then my EDI number, right? Employee ID. Now we're going to reset all our variables. So the way you do that is with the set command. And I'm going to copy that 5 times. Here's being done. And the first variable is their first name, and we're going to set it to nothing. I actually did forget one control. My date. So their last name, their email, their phone, and their EDI. Okay, so let's go ahead and we need to change reset EP date, and then we're going to set our new item, it's a new variable we're making right now, to false. That's how you turn containers on and off, is you use a variable. Okay. So now what we're going to do, before I do all this, I'm going to go back to our container and rename it to new item, so I know it's the new item one. Oops. I'm going to go to the visible property and set it to their new item, which you see it disappeared, and then over here, oops, so I should select, and then on here I'm going to set this to true, which will open up our container. So if I go now, we'll go back to our thing, everything's still filled in the way it's supposed to be, and now we're going to run it. didn't like something. Well, let's go back and see what the problem is. It did clear all my data though, as you can see. I don't care about that. Trying to see why my flow failed. Huh. It's not telling me. Okay, so let's go look at our flow. I just use this thing so I know it works. Oh wait, can't do it that way. So I'm gonna go into Power Automate. You can't look at the runs through Power Apps. You have to actually go into. I keep getting bugs flying on me. All right, so we're gonna go into Power Automate. My flows, and we're gonna look at our doc set here. Okay. Well, according to this, it succeeded. Okay, so let's go back here. Alright, so I'm going to put another icon in here so I can navigate back to my main screen. If I don't want to submit. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go make this white. That in there, and we're going to navigate back. Now you see there's just 4 items. Now one thing I like to do is my label, my banner, I like to set the on select for it to refresh the data source. So we'll do a refresh, supply, request, boom. Alright, so I'm going to run my app again and refresh it. And it did indeed make it. As you can see, this is what we just made. You got this, you got our dates, awaiting files, which means it has no files in it. And I did forget to put one icon in here. I want to put a paperclip icon, which I don't mark it visually. So let's do this. Him up, slide him over, slide him over, select this, that there, that there, and then I'm going to insert a paperclip icon in there, so go over here, and on the visible, I remember now. I don't remember what the command is. Count rows. Filter, supply request, folder path equals, request slash and somebody's got files, so something didn't work right. Okay, so filter supplier class, folder path equals that, and gallery one dot name. Wait, I think I put this, one of the slashes is wrong. I don't know which one it is. I think it's this one. Hold on a second. Okay, I paused the video to figure out what I did wrong, and I figured it out. Instead of using I used gallery one dot selected. It should have been this item because it's referencing itself. So you'll see that the ones that got files in them have a paperclip at the end of them. The ones who don't do not. Okay. So you see, that's how you create your initial request. So we're going to stop here. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll continue on in the next video, which will go over the new item's been created along with the metadata, and we'll discuss. I'll go into the SharePoint list or the SharePoint library and show you that the stuff did really get saved there, and then we'll start working on our edit screen. See you then.